Leafs.
Yeah, defenseman shoring up. Looks like Boston is in full fire sale mode. We had Brad Marchand and now
Brandon Carlo to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So again, just figuring out what all is involved here. But Boston, right under the wire, did deals with Marchand to Florida and Carlo to Toronto. So we'll see what they... Remember, they traded Coyle for Middlestat earlier. So Boston's going to look very different when they next play.
Yeah, and a huge physical addition for the Toronto back end, David, with Brandon Carlo joining the fold in Leafland.
All right.
You're not celebrating?
That's a consolation prize of the Marchand.
No.
I really like that pickup. They addressed their needs, and yeah, that's a big one. He hasn't had the best year, but new life coming over to Toronto, and yeah, this is good news.
That's huge. I think that's
a big back end, and yeah.
He's huge, and if he's having the best year, you wouldn't get him probably. He wouldn't be available because he's had a bit of a down year. I think you get a chance to get him. He's like Alexiak, but a right-hand shot guy. Monster guy, 6'5". Everyone's 6'5", but a little bit of offense, but big penalty kill guys. So now, like, you've always kind of had like a hole for the Leafs on the right-hand side. You got Tanev, you got Carlo on your top four. It's pretty reliable guys.
I'd probably give Tree a B+ and everything he's done today.
And he might not be done. We just don't know. I mean, again, these trades are trickling in. We're now 13 minutes past the trade deadline, and we've had two trades that we know of, and that's Brandon Carlo from Boston to Toronto. And you see how it might work into that lineup there, right beyond that top pairing with Morgan Riley.
That's a pretty physical D. Can we start Luke's segment over again so he can get another chance at it? Because he didn't like that D-core. Now I'm sure he really likes it.
It's impressive. We talked about that they needed a bit more size, a bit more physicality, a bit more depth, and he addressed all of those needs.
Got it for sure. I like that D now.
Yeah. Wow, so things are happening. And what about the Boston Bruins? Again, 2 years ago, they were this close to, we thought, making a Stanley Cup run, and it didn't work out that way. And now, you know, and this was what Biz referred to. This was to win the game in the final seconds of Game 5. Beautiful save by Bobrovsky. Florida wins Game 5. Tkachuk, I think, scored in overtime, by the way.
Yeah, all Mark Whippers.
Verhaeghe. Yeah, and Game 6 and 7, they win.
Ekblad almost scored there, too.
That was so close.
Yeah, and they go on to the Stanley Cup final where they lost, and then last year they became just the fourth team in the last 20 years to go back to a Stanley Cup final. Now the Florida Panthers add Brad Marchand, and they're trying to go back to to the Stanley Cup final. Wow, a lot is happening here. Yeah, I don't know. Cav, you have any more jokes?
No, it's apparently one too many.
Sounds like we're starting to learn a little bit more about what Toronto has given up in getting Brandon Carlo. What's going on?
So Fraser Minten is going to be one of the parts of this deal. I've been warned it's a little complicated. I think this is going through a couple of steps, and I think there's a little bit more to it. But Minten is one of the key pieces going back to Boston.
All right, 15 games with the Maple Leafs this season for Minton, a couple of goals, and another young center into the Bruins organization as they move to a different stage, new era in Boston. Dave?
Yeah, I believe, Biz, what did you tweet out?
The Bruins are dead, guys. It's official.
What do you think, G? How do you think G feels about that?
He's done. His heart's
crying
ripped
right
out of
now.
his chest. Yeah, he's toast.
Poor guy.
Nobody cares, though. He's had enough success over his Boston Bruin fandom. Yeah. It's our turn.
Share it.
It's our turn.
What do you guys make of the return? So Fraser Minten, a lot have been discussed about him. He was sort of one of those crowning jewels as far as the Leaf prospects go, alongside Easton Cowan and I'm forgetting who the third. It's been too much TV here, but Fraser Minten, what do you guys think about that as the return?
I think it's one of those things where it would take a few years for him to develop into an impact player. Now is the time in Toronto. Now is the time that you need a top four big defenseman. Now is the time. I still think, and we haven't talked about it that much, the emergence of the goaltending situation in Toronto has given them hope for a long playoff run. Yep. Yeah, you added a D, but two goalies, and you go with whoever's hot. Both have had good seasons at their own time. Stolarz is just maybe breakout player of the year, and then Woll coming back from the injury, he's giving you some good games. It's a rounded team.
They support each other really well. That's easy to see. And that's what is very important. You're both competing for the same amount of ice time, right? But there has to be support behind the scenes, and you can tell that they have each other's back.
Yeah, Leafs Saturday at Colorado and Monday at Utah on Sportsnet Ontario.